Hey y'all, welcome back to Gadfly, a podcast about third parties, French candidates, and generally weird American electoral history. I'm Dusty Wilson.
I'm Una O'Leary.
And we're back, motherfuckers. It has
Yeah.
been over a month.
A month.
We are well past that 4th year anniversary deadline. But we're back. First and foremost, COVID's real. It's still happening.
Yep. I can confirm.
Yeah, I think we both got it on the same day or the same week at least,
or like a week off, and not from each other. It was a week off. It was,
it was. So mask up if you're still hanging around people. It's not that hard, and all that jazz, because I definitely got it from someone who was not masked, and thanks Lyft.
Great. I got it for pretending I didn't just turn 40. I'm going to blame it on that.
Fair enough. But y'all probably do deserve a bit of an explanation as to where we've been all this time.
And it's not just because we hit millennial burnout and have been doing this for like a week or
that is
multiple
true.
Years.
Taking that time off would have been nice if there was actually time to relax, but
if it were planned, right?
Yeah. So basically one day I wake up and I'm like, oh, walking's difficult. And it's like looking at stuff's difficult and kind of typing's a little hard. So I go up to the old urgent care up in Evanston and I'm telling them what's up. And they're like, well, it's late in the day, so we can't really send you anywhere. So here's some Dramamine. Hopefully this helps. Yeah, so I took a little Dramamine. It did nothing. And so the next day, I went to my primary care, and he's like, you need to go to a hospital now.
Okay, good, primary care doctor. Yeah. Yes, correct.
Yeah. And so I go to the emergency room. They immediately let me in, get me like a drip and everything. I'm expecting to head home after this. And they're like, oh, we're going to keep you. Ends up, I'm in the hospital for a week. And the reason is the doctors have confirmed I got too many scleroses. I got at least multiple.
Yeah.
And that sounds awful. And it kind of sucks because, walking is still a bit hard. My typing's about back to where it should be. I'm only misspelling the things I've always misspelled. And yeah, so that's the specific gist. Apparently, back when I was 25 was the first time, or 25, 27 was the first time I had it. And they couldn't diagnose it back then because you can't diagnose singular scleroses. So I spent a year with doctors being like, I don't know what to tell you.
Is it one of those things where it's like, because there's no test for it, it's more like it's not these things. So...
Well, there's kind of a test for it. They'll do an MRI, and if there's like some plaque on your brain, they'll be like, oh, that's what that is. So turns out there was some plaque on my spine from the first one too, so that was a trip.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it sounds terrible, but doctors say it's going to be okay. The new Last of Us episode just really ripped me apart, but aside from that, everything's pretty great. So yeah, sorry to my friends who are just hearing this now. I didn't know of any good way to like message that in an email or a text.
Yeah, and you're not on social media.
Yeah, and you can't hear my voice to be like it's not as bad as it sounds. It's not like a big ass tumor or a stroke.
No, I'm looking at you right now, and you look like Dusty.
Yeah, well, you might have heard on the show me not having a great time with words sometimes. That was part of it. I should have realized it. So I'm back. Just humble thing. Don't donate to your local MS charity. There's not many. So and they're good folks. But yeah, hopefully it'll be another 13 years before my next relapse. And, by then it'll be great.
So think of all the advancements that can happen in science in 13 years.
They go really fast about it, too. That was the one thing my neurologist at the hospital is really keen on, is that every 5 years they come up with something new. And compared to what it was 13 years ago to now, it's night and day.
Yeah.
So that's the news. Hopefully I will not be missing anytime soon, just because there's a lot of third-party news going on that we're going to hit.
Oh my God. Desi, that was the thing of like between the Buffalo snowfall and then like our on again, off again sicknesses and then your recent diagnosis, like so much is happening. And I kept thinking about how so much is happening.
Wild. Like Proco Joe Moreno's running again.
Oh.
And more than likely one of his supporters broke a window of the guy who's the current alderman.
Like, I feel like every other week I'll see a Block Club Chicago article that's like, so-and-so of the number whatever ward is being indicted and still running.
As is tradition.
Yes.
So yeah, in 2 weeks we are going to do a Chicago mayor episode. Next week I'm very excited because we're going to be talking about Rage Against the War Machine, which is a weird marriage between the Libertarian and People's Party.
Oh.
Yeah, it's gonna
Oh,
be
we're back
rough.
to okay.
It's gonna be rough.
Well, that was a nice break I had.
Yeah, I know, right? The Reform Party got an appointment, so now they're the fifth most powerful third party in America. They now have someone on a cemetery board, so good for them.
Hey.
I mean, it's better than a lot are doing, so. But that leads us to today's episode that I'm very excited about because I wanted to do an exact opposite of our last episode we did together. The rent is too damn high, Jimmy McMillan. We had a black dude who was very anti-Semitic. Well, today we're gonna get a Jewish guy who's extraordinarily racist.
Yay.
It's wonderful because once again I started this not expecting anything and then just
Oh.
got trained in the face with all the terribleness. But they're both from New York City, so that's going to be a real advantage for us. But we're going all the way back to the 19th century, and it's full of theater drama and just all kinds of hypocrisy, which you expect in your theater drama.
Oh yeah. Are we going to get a little bit of vaudevillian action here?
This is a little pre-vaudeville. What we're going to be getting is just pure melodrama for the most part. This is like the heyday of
Ooh.
melodrama, also known as
Ooh.
bad theater.
Yeah.
So the guy that we're going to be talking about today is Mordecai Manuel Noah. He was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in 1785, and his childhood, like most people talked about, is fairly barren. His father, Manuel Mordecai Noah, may have fought and died in the Revolutionary War, but it's not entirely clear. He might have died after the Revolutionary War after failing at business a couple of times. Either which way, he ends up dying. And his mother, Zipporah Phillips, definitely died when Mordecai was 10. So by the time he's 10, he is an orphan.
Oh.
And this led him to be raised by his maternal grandfather. And one detail that we do know about the Noah family is that their lineage is that of the Sephardic Jews, which is a diaspora focused on the Iberian Peninsula. So Spain, and for the Noahs, Portugal. The history of the Sephardic Jews is extraordinary and long, and we don't have a year and a half to talk about all of it. So, for the sake of this episode, it is thematically important to bring up how things went for the Sephardic Jews.
Wasn't it like decent until around 1490 something?
Yeah, it was good until it wasn't.
Yeah. Very quickly not good.
Yeah. So things were really, really good for them. Essentially around 711, which is when the peninsula was known as Al-Andalus, and as part of the Umayyad Caliphate of the hip and new religion of Islam. They'd just taken over the peninsula from the Visigoths and ended up ruling there for a couple of centuries. And these new rulers brought about a golden age for the Sephardic Jews who lived there and resulted in mass immigration to the peninsula. And now it wasn't a perfect situation, to say the least, when it came to religious equality, but it was far more freedom than Jews across Europe had experienced before. And that is until, as you so wonderfully brought up, the Reconquista. When the Catholics began to retake the land in the 11th century. Eventually, the Muslim rulers were kicked out, and in 1748, the Spanish Inquisition kicked off to punish any Jews or Muslims who had decided to stay around. So in 1492, brought about the Alhambra Decree, which legally banished all Jews from the kingdoms of Castile and Aragon, which were the biggest kingdoms in what we know as today as Spain. The population of 300,000 Jews were given 4 months to convert to Roman Catholicism or leave. Thing though is, if they left, they legally had to leave behind all gold or silver in their possession.
Oh.
But wait, there's more.
Ah.
Also, anyone who chose to leave had to sell anything they couldn't carry, which led to an oversaturation of the market, which meant that anything they would sell something for would be for far less than they normally would.
I think Spain in this era and then slightly after was really good at oversaturating the market. Like they discovered too many silver mines in the northern hemisphere and just like completely fucked over macroeconomics wise, like all like the silver trade completely just brought the whole value down across the world.
But hey, I mean, you could keep your religion and stay. But also, if you got Spanish minted money for your stuff, you legally weren't allowed to take that with you.
Hold up. So you just sold your, in modern day parlance, you just sold the car, the Xbox,
Mhm.
some stocks. You're like, fine. You don't want me? I don't want to be here. And then you get legal Spanish tender for those
Mhm.
goods. And then the Spanish government is like, by the way, you have to leave that money here too.
Mhm.
Goodbye.
Yes.
Wow.
You get to leave,
Cool.
but you get to leave with nothing. essentially.
Wow. They took that whole "you can't take it with you" item from the Bible and ran with it in the wrong way.
To make it even worse, the Jews, as is tradition, had nowhere to go.
Right, because it's the rest of Europe
Yeah.
is where they can go.
Yeah, you could go to France, but it's even more dangerous for you to go to France.
Yeah.
You could go to northern Africa to like, the rest of the Umayyad Caliphate, but Al-Andalus was kind of just this rare beacon in Europe where you got to be pretty much any religion and still have at least a semblance of income and
Yeah.
home and
Right.
decisions.
It's why they were there in the first place.
Right. And so, I mean, there were a couple of Jewish communities in northern Africa, but many received violent welcomes, such as in the city of Fez, Morocco. So you were really rolling the dice if you decided to go south. Then again, like I said, they could just say fuck King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella and just stay. But at the end of the 4-month window, you would be arrested and immediately executed for heresy, just like Jesus wanted.
Wait, so if you stay, wait, so if you
As long as
stay
you
or
don't,
like,
if you don't convert to Roman Catholicism,
okay.
you will be immediately found guilty of heresy and executed.
But how were they just checking up on who was showing up at church or like,
Well, I mean, I'm sure that's part of it, but part of it, I'm sure, is the Spanish Inquisition being like, you look a little too Jewish. We're going
right?
to see what you're doing. And if you don't show up to Mass, you might have a terrible month ahead of you.
Like I just assume the Spanish Inquisition has local people who are like, that family, yeah, they were definitely Jewish before
Oh, yeah.
2 weeks ago. And then
Oh,
it's like, okay, they're dead.
like, we didn't invent snitches in the 1900s, they've been around. So in total, 200,000 to 300,000 Jews would convert to Roman Catholicism, and between 40 to 100,000 left. However, much of that group who left would return after failing to find a new home and converted to Roman Catholicism.
Yeah.
So this is another chapter in the epic tale of, hey, we're Jews, and can we please live somewhere long-term and maybe not be killed? And little would young Mordecai know that he would add a couple paragraphs of his own to this story. But we'll get to that later. So at some point, the Noahs move from the Iberian Peninsula to America, and, the parents die, Mordecai's being raised by his grandpa, and he's busy now being a teenager, which means getting a job at the age of 15 as a political reporter in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
What? They had those?
Yep, there's no McDonald's. He's got to go somewhere.
It's not even an internship. He's getting paid.
Nope, he is a paid political reporter in the state capital of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
God damn.
Again, there isn't a ton of info or examples of his reporting scanned online, but the job does seem fairly short-lived because you hired a teenager to report on politics. But probably around the age of 18, he would make his big move to Charleston, South Carolina to study law. The Mordecai Noah story is pretty much just a guesswork between 1800 and 1808, but 1808 would be one hell of an important bookmark for him. It wasn't a particular case, he argued, but rather the year he embarked on his side gig as a playwright.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's not, if you're used to living with food and money and rent, playwright's not the choice. But he's doing it as a side gig, which is about the best deal you can make.
I like thinking of it as a Regency era equivalent to all those lawyers who want to write like James Clancy or whatever novel.
Oh my God. I mean, I can make a Chicago dramatist joke, but no one would appreciate it. His first play, Fortress of Sorrento, would be described by Noah as, quote, a petite historical drama. It maxed out at 28 pages, so, a really awkward amount of time for a play. You can't send it to 10-minute festivals, which I don't think existed then. And it's too long to really be staged, so it's just a weird thing you wrote.
Like so many playwrights.
And even worse, he gave it 2 acts, which
you
can't do. You can't do that. If it's 2 hours, then yes, you can have 2 acts and everyone will hate you. But a 28-page 2-act play, go fuck yourself, sir. I know it's your first play, but go fuck yourself.
What is this? The Flick? You just sweeping popcorn off the stage?
Oh my God.
Talking about life.
Yep, I completely forgot about that play. So there aren't any copies of this work online, let alone a summary for the plot. But you can get an original first edition for only $1,750 because this play would never be produced, but he actually paid for it to be printed.
Oh, that I feel like that's the true mark of someone whose job isn't primarily in the
Yeah, it's like, good on you for self-publishing. And,
Yes.
I'm sure there are less scammy people back then that you could rely on for that. I mean, it's worth $1,800 now, so good on you. But
Yeah. Yeah.
so Noah would keep himself busy, mostly by diving back into journalism. In 1811, he would become editor of the Charleston City Gazette, and under a pseudonym was a fierce advocate for America, kicking off what would become the War of 1812, America's favorite war. Yeah, yeah. The war where we had no idea why, or at least in modern history, where most people have no idea why we entered, and it ends in a tie and the White House burned down. It's
But
just,
a great soundtrack.
yeah, really good soundtrack, terrible war. Despite a somewhat remote locale, his hawkishness would catch the eye of the most powerful man in the nation, President James Madison.
Mm.
So shortly after his fierce support of the war, Madison would appoint Mordecai to the position of Consul of Riga. So I had to look this up. Consul is essentially an ambassadorship, but either for a region or a city. And Riga is right now the capital of Estonia, but at the time was the third largest city in the Russian Empire.
Ah, sure.
So it wasn't the most important of roles, but Noah would have the advantage of working directly under America's ambassador to the Russian Empire and next future president, John Quincy Adams. It had all the possibility of upward mobility, so Mordecai turned him down.
In Mordecai's defense, I mean, I hear that and it's like, you want to send me where? The land of pogroms? No, thank you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I imagine, yeah, probably. Well, I'm trying to remember what was even up in the Russian Empire at this time. It's probably like czars and parties.
Maybe Peter the Second. They might have been. Yeah, I think it would have been just after like the establishment of St. Petersburg. So yeah, you're on the ascent for the Russian Empire.
But yeah, he said no. I was like, I'm happy being the editor of the main newspaper of Charleston and writing one shitty play.
That was just it. Like, he's not going to get his plays produced if he's out there in Riga.
Well, here's the thing. If you want to get your plays produced at this time, you got to go to New York City. So that's what he fucking did.
That's it. That's the thing. Deep down, he just wanted to be a playwright.
Well, he also wants to be an established journalist. And if you want to go anywhere for that too, you go to New York City. It didn't take him long to found his first newspaper, which he called the National Advocate. And shortly after that, he wrote his second play. Now, Mordecai recollected the inspiration for his newest play in a letter to theater historian William Dunlap, stating simply, and I'm paraphrasing, "I did it as a favor for a friend."
He wrote a play as a favor to a friend.
Yeah, I've never been asked that favor. Well, no, I've been asked that as a favor by people I just met, but they're just like, "You should write a play about my cat." It's like, I gotta go.
Yeah, you need to come over to my workplace and take notes.
So said friend asked Mordecai to write a play in order for his wife to play the lead. In particular, the friend asked that she play what's known as a breeches role. And so it's essentially a role where a woman has to wear pants.
Ooh.
Yes, you're pretending to be a dude. You're doing the whole Shakespeare
Scandalo.
Yeah. So his friend asked for a role for his wife. She's going to play a dude in this play. And Mordecai stated it would be, quote, very ungallant to have refused. This role,
unlike the position in Riga.
No, that's inelegant. That's awful. You're dancing with, czarinas and other consuls and a future president. Nah, I'm gonna write this play on a favor.
Yeah.
So he wrote his second play, Paul and Alexis, or The Orphans of the Rhine. Something I like about this time is all plays had two titles, no matter what. And
so great.
Kind of wish we'd bring that back, but also kind of glad it's gone. Now, I'm also going to bring this up too, because it's, I think we both had to take theater history at some point. I'm going to make the bold statement that all the time between Shakespeare and Strindberg is just a wasteland.
It's just morality tale after morality tale, and no one knows what they're doing because, no one knows how to act because no one's actually figured out how to act.
Yeah, I mean, you'll get important ones, you'll read The Rover by Aphra Behn, which is the first play by a woman, God forbid, and it's a decent Shakespeare knockoff, but it's still not good.
Yeah, and all the talent was just getting pulled into opera. I feel like that's where the acting, the storylines.
Yeah, really good point. So our man Mordecai is writing during that really weird period before Scandinavian, or I should say American and European theater is in just an absolute dirge. And it's not until a couple Scandinavians decide maybe we should write things that make people riot that things start to get good. And everywhere else in the world is doing much better work. Much, much better work than we are. So American theater is not in a good place also at this time. So he writes Paul and Alexis, the Orphans of the Rhine. The play would undergo the name change to The Wandering Boys, or The Castle of Olival.
Ooh.
And we're lucky enough that we actually get a summary for this one.
Okay, lay it on.
Quote, the play surrounds orphaned nobles Justin and Paul. So I just want to stop at that, where you have two bros hang out named Justin and Paul. Instagram princes, if you will. They're both abandoned and alone in a hamlet of Olival, Provence. The two find community and paternity in the town-wide festival, celebrated in the name of the unknown to them at the time, Father, Count de Coissé. As their past comes to haunt them, and their evil auntie, the Baroness, and her servant Ronald find out that the two stand to take her power away. Watch as the two come to discover their noble lineage and the kindness of philanthropy of their burgeoning notion of neighbor slash friend.
I mean, it sounds like a description I'd find on an archive of our own for like some like some Disney Channel, like Cody and Jack and whatever. It's like, yeah, but then like they're lovers too.
It kind of sounds like really earnest ubu just like there's no irony, no weird shit, no like grotesque nonsense. It's all just like, no, it's Justin and Paul. And they're trying to beat Ron.
It's like, will their past catch up with them? What past? They're just like dumb orphans who exist.
Why are there two?
Right? Any editor would look at this and be like, we could probably just smash these characters together and have one.
You know the best part of all this? I have no idea who his friend's wife played.
Right. I'm not
really
hearing
any
a
of these people.
Bridges role.
Yes. There's like, I don't see any role with meat on the bones except maybe Ron. Ron might have a bit of Iago thing going on.
Right. Or if it's like part of the shtick is like she's one of the top bills. Maybe she's playing Paul. It's like part of the fun.
Oh my god. Brotherly love, wink wink.
Hey.
And your wife's
yeah. Now it's getting weird.
So the results in Mordecai's first ever production, because of course this thing got produced, he would state that his political rivals showed up to boo and hiss, but by the end of the play, no, they all seemed too busy to properly boo.
Because they were just so enraptured with the story.
Oh yeah, by this time he's getting into politics a little bit. I kind of glossed over that. In Charleston he was doing it a little bit, but really nothing of note. He's just kind of behind the scenes player sort of guy.
Okay.
So the play would have a lengthy and successful run in London under the new name The Wandering Boys. And this also marked potentially the first theatrical production in America written by an American Jew. Yeah, so you have literal history being made with this play that we mocked viciously.
I regret nothing.
Same. You will regret nothing. And the thing is, it can't be proven. There are a number of other people who might also have that honor as well. And you don't exactly have a good list of productions except for like the big theater houses or the rich people. So it's kind of hard to tell whether or not this is true.
Right. Neither of us have a PhD in theater history.
Right. I mean, I'm sure someone will figure it out someday because all the research on this is old, very old.
Ooh, untapped market, PhD students.
But hey, it's no time for playing pretend because James Madison is back. And yeah, you turned him down once, but God fuck it, he's got you a new job offer that you just can't refuse this time. It's a promotion. And this time he'd like to offer Mordecai the job of counsel to the Beylik of Tunis.
Ooh.
So Tunis is the modern day capital of Tunisia, which most people might know as the birthplace of the Arab Spring when that went down.
Also historically Carthage.
Exactly, yes. So at the time, Tunis was an autonomous part of the Ottoman Empire. So instead of being a consul to a city, he was actually going to be the consul for a state by all meaning. And this time, Mordecai would take the job. According to the Jewish Virtual Library, Mordecai viewed the post as an opportunity to build America's relationship with North African Jews, who were descendants from his very people who left Portugal. Madison, though, he kind of had an ulterior motive that was secret to the Beylik of Tunis that he would let Mordecai in on. So back in 1801, America entered into their first war after gaining independence. It only took us less than 20 years to do it.
We're so good at this.
So off the coast of North Africa, there's the Mediterranean Sea. And at the time, they're dealing with just a ton of state-sponsored piracy.
Nice.
Tripolitania, which was a combination of the bays of Algiers, Tunis, and Tripoli, were paying the bills by capturing merchant ships and either ransoming their crews to their home country, or if that didn't work, just selling the crew into slavery. So it starts off cool and it gets very not. This had been happening to the European powers for a while, but thanks to America being under the protection of France during the Revolutionary War, the pirates tended to leave American ships alone. But once that treaty ended in 1783 and America became independent, then it made American ships fair game. John Adams and Thomas Jefferson would negotiate a yearly tribute to keep American ships to keep from being raided. But when Jefferson became president, he decided war would probably be cheaper in the long run.
Amazing. Yes.
It would take 5 years, but along with an allegiance with the Kingdom of Sicily and 2 years of help from the Kingdom of Sweden, a weak peace would be settled in 1805.
Fuck, where was this in the history books? This sounds like I would eat this shit up.
No, it really, really should be, because it's the first time we ever use the Marines.
Semper Fi, motherfuckers.
Yeah, it's of course from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli is what they're referring to. Is what is was essentially known as the First Barbary War. So this deal worked decently well with the bays of Tripoli and Tunis, but by 1808 the Bay of Algiers had grown irritated with the slow rate of the tribute. Supplies always showed up late, and the Bay would claim that all of this lateness left America in about $28,000 of debt, which in today's money is $659,500. So America tried to negotiate the shortfall for 4 years, but once the War of 1812 started, the Bay kicked out the American consul and ended the treaty. 1 week later, Algerine pirates took to the merchant ship Salem and captured 12 of its crew members. Instead of ransoming them, they immediately enslaved them. And now, it's Mordecai Noah's mission to free those 12 men.
Oh my god, we got a Saving Private Ryan on our hands.
Oh my god, if it was that
we got
cool,
an Argo.
If it was that neat, I'd appreciate it. So on the outset, Madison had given Noah $36,000 to purchase the freedom of 12 men.
So awkward.
Not great. So it's $670,000 for 12 dudes. Doesn't seem like a great deal. So lucky for them, Noah had also reached out to Richard Hackley, the consul for the city of Cadiz in Spain, and found that Americans living in the city had collected funds to increase the offer. And Hackley would also recommend an agent to negotiate the deal named Richard Keene. The thing, though, is they decided to go with plan B. Instead of offering the $36,000 to the Bay of Algiers, they would send Keene to act as a slave trader and offer to purchase the sailors. He would get $1,000 for travel and expenses, and would only be allowed a ceiling of $3,000 per man. If he was able to pay less, then they passed the savings on to Keene.
Yeah, this makes so much more sense for Americans to look at this and be like, wait, we know how to do this. We know how to buy human life. Fucking get in there and haggle.
Didn't we invent this shit? Oh, fine, fuck it. I'll just act like I'm from South Carolina and I don't know my shit. But above all, Keene was never to conduct himself as an agent of America. So when he got to Algiers, Keene introduced himself as the head of a group of concerned American merchants in Cadiz that had raised money to buy the crew's freedom. Not a strong move, but, it's one. And it's around this moment, I imagine the Bey held up his finger and sighed and stated that he wouldn't conduct business with any American unless they were at least an ambassador who had the authority to broker peace. Furthermore, quote, "Tell the American merchants at Cadiz that my policy and my views are to increase, not to diminish, the number of my American slaves, that not for $1 million would I release them." So no one read the room ahead of time. I read this in some places, but I couldn't verify it. But apparently Keene also had a checkered history of being arrested many times in Cadiz. So they sent a scumbag to lowball the king of an area who was not even interested. They did all things wrong by sending an American and offering money. So this should have been the end of negotiations. But since America was trying to be sneaky about things, consuls representing Sweden, Spain, and of all people, England, began imploring the Bey to just take the deal and be done with it. The English consul would put in the most work, and by the end, negotiated for the exchange of 2 crew members for $4,000. In 1815, the War of 1812 had ended in an epic tie, and Madison was now more keen than ever to take the Jeffersonian tactic of war being cheaper than just buying the crew. The Second Barbary War would last 2 days and ended in absolute American victory. Essentially what happened was America went head-to-head against the biggest ship in the Algerine army, destroyed it, and then immediately destroyed their second biggest ship, so they had nothing they could do.
USA, USA,
we did
USA.
It. War's great. War of 1812, I don't give a shit. Rebuild that White House. We're trying again. So America would get an agreement that no more ships would be taken. They would never have to pay another tribute. And they got the remaining 10 captives. And while traveling home on the USS Impervier, the ship disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle of all fucking things.
Stop.
10 crew members and everyone else on the ship was lost forever.
Those 10 crew members were fated to never see their family
I
again.
hate to say it, you might have been better.
Oh.
Might at least get to know what's in the Bermuda Triangle.
Hey.
Answers weird gas deposits, but still. I don't know. You ever seen specials on that? That's not about aliens.
I was gonna say it's like only X-Files episodes.
Yeah, like the leading theory is that there's weird gas deposits in certain areas in the triangle, and when they let loose, the water becomes immediately not buoyant, and so ships just fall into the water.
Oh, I thought it was like noxious gas fumes.
Oh no, it's
making everyone
weirder.
little...
It's probably not true, but
I want to believe it.
So aliens took the crew. They're like space slaves now.
But they're still alive.
That's true. And for Mordecai, thanks for his work would be President Madison firing him in 1815. And look, if it was just as simple as we did your job in 2 days, you had like a couple of years and you sent a con man to do the worst job. But it's even shittier because Madison figured that the Ottoman Turks were naturally predisposed to not like Jews, so maybe Mordecai was the wrong choice.
Oh.
And to this day, Mordecai Manuel Noah is the first American Jew to be fired solely on his religion in U.S. governments. So Mordecai returned to New York City, tended to his newspaper, wrote pieces of politics and theater reviews. Theater reviews is actually where he ends up getting his name really big, and published his first book entitled Travels in England, France, Spain, and the Barbary States, and rose in prominence within not just the Jewish community, but a little social club that we mostly know today as Tammany Hall.
No kidding.
Yep. He was introduced as a member fairly early on in Tammany Hall's history. But if you thought he was done writing his own plays, you would be wrong, and I really wish you were right. So in 1819, Mordecai would take a meeting with English publisher John Miller. John would tell him all about an actress he had met on a ship during his voyage named Catherine Lee Sugg. Miller could not stop talking about how hot he thought she was, and when they found that she'd actually been hired as a singer, they went and got tickets. Catherine had been hired by the Park Theater, the most popular and rich people-funded theater in the whole city, and after seeing her perform, Mordecai wrote a play for her that he wrote in 3 days. Already not the best sign. You wrote a play for someone you thought was hot in 3 days. Una, how often does that go right?
I also just want to pause and say, like, there's always been Hollywood, apparently.
Yep. So the play that he wrote in 3 days would end up being called She Would Be a Soldier or Plains of Chippewa. So I'm going to ask you again here real quick. If a friend of yours said, hey, I wrote a play in 3 days, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good do you think that would be? We do know some very talented friends, and I would say, considering them, how good do you think it would be?
Yeah, no, because there's like immediately I'm thinking like, okay, from an outline, did you have an outline and then you had 3 days and you just like wrote nonstop?
Mm-hmm.
I know that's not the case in this situation.
Yeah, I don't know what they would have used for cocaine back then. Just like a lot of tea?
Well, maybe cocaine, maybe like coca leaves.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so he writes a play in 3 days. And in a bit of a change of pace, a digital copy of the play does exist via Project Gutenberg.
Hey.
So Mordecai describes the piece as a nationalistic play that tells the story of the Battle of Chippewa, a somewhat inconsequential battle towards the end of the War of 1812. But America won it, so fuck yeah. As for the play, is it any good? It was written in 3 days, so no, not even a little. It is
such a first draft.
The note that I wrote here for it is that it sucks all the shit. It's extreme.
You read it?
Yeah, I read it as far as I could, and it's awful. It's really, really bad. And this is coming from a guy who's read some of Shakespeare's worst stuff. I read plays between Shakespeare and Ibsen. I've seen how bad it gets. And the entire first scene is an exposition dump of long monologues. It's just like, neighbor, forthwith, I see you with cows and other such things. I wonder, how is it that you come to live in this valley? And the neighbor's like, well, I come to live here due to the fact that I moved here after me and my daughter decided at long last we were going to find freedom in America. And it just it goes on and on like that. And then you get to scene 2, where you get the melodramatic romance of it all.
With the hot woman.
Yeah, where Catherine Lee Sugg is showing up playing the romance. And I shit you not, they're running through the brambles because the guy's so excited and he has a broken arm. And she runs up behind him all tired and winded. And she states that running through the brambles has left her arm, quote, as red as pink.
Is this supposed to be like a sexual nod?
You know what? That would be even better if true, but I mean,
it's not. It's just bad writing.
Yeah, it's just a man compared a color to a color. It's frustrating. It's so fucking bad all around.
It got produced, and we can't, Dusty.
Oh,
what gives?
It gets worse because he got produced for all the right reasons. Because if you will remember, Catherine Lee Sugg is working at the Park Theater, the most fanciest and expensive of theaters. And so since she wants to do this play with her as the star, no longer being just in the chorus, the Park Theater agrees and produces this man's play. As the lead. And
probably got paid.
Yeah, it's a huge success. It's a gigantic success in New York City. It sells out multiple weeks. It does great. It's mostly because at the end there's a beheading. There's like an execution of a traitor. And you know, the crowd is like, how'd they fucking do that? And it's like melodramatically, it's bad. It's really bad. And it's one of the most frustrating things I think I have ever read in my life. It is. God, it's so awful. So Mordecai would end up becoming very close friends with the owner of the theater, a guy named Stephen Price, mostly because he made him richer in the process with a successful play. That's how it goes. And this only boosted Mordecai's fame and influence. A year later, the Park Theater would produce Mordecai's next play, Yusuf Caramelli, or The Siege of Tripoli. Once again, the play would be a nationalistic melodrama and was based entirely on his recollection of the enslavement of the American soldiers in Algiers. The play featured expensive sets, costumes, and pyrotechnics, leading audiences to rave about how good it was. No modern person can really verify this, though, because no copies exist.
Lost to time.
It's probably for the best. But also, the show would run a lot shorter, because all those cool pyrotechnics they bought hadn't exactly been vetted for safety, and they set the set on fire.
Of course it did.
And burned down the theater.
Yeah! So metal!
This kind of caused the play to end early. Yeah. So Mordecai is now essentially theater royalty. He has a rich theater that has produced 2 of his plays to raucous success. Plus, he's a theater critic, so he's got that on his side, which means that he was all set for the natural evolution of a successful playwright. He ends up getting appointed as sheriff of New York County. You know that playwright route.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so on the outside looking in, it would seem like a nonsensical choice to make a playwright sheriff.
Yeah, it feels like a left turn.
So Mordecai, you know, he's never in his life been a cop. He's never investigated a crime. And he's never written about crime in his newspapers or his plays. But he did have the only requirement to be qualified for the job that really mattered. Mordecai Manuel Noah was an extreme racist.
Oh, more things change.
So he adamantly was pro-slavery and believed that emancipation would result in untold violence across the country. As a delegate to the 1921 New York Constitutional Convention, he led the charge to make it harder for freedmen to vote. While any white man could vote anytime they wanted, Mordecai made a constitutional rule that a freedman also had to either pay taxes, and this was long before income tax was a thing, own property worth at least $128 or $3,371 in today's money, or rent an apartment for $5 a month or $131 in today's money.
Basically be like pony up.
Exactly. Yeah.
One way or another.
You essentially have to pay a poll tax
yeah.
to be able to vote. In the wake of the convention, Mordecai would end up getting more fuel for his violently racist fire. William Alexander Brown was born in 1790 in the West Indies. Initially, he worked as a ship steward, but would retire from that work and move to the neighborhood for free blacks in Lower Manhattan. In 1816, he would open up a tea garden that he dubbed the African Grove Theater. So tea gardens essentially outdoor drinking, so just outdoor tea and coffee, things like that. And while you're outside, you're also going to get theater, if you so wish. This would be the very first resident all-black theater company in America. Productions included many Shakespearean works, including what is believed to be the first production of Othello with a black lead.
Hey!
You know, one of Shakespeare's 2 famous black characters, always being played by white guys until 1816.
And then, not again until Lawrence Fishburne.
Oh my God. Ooh. Well, yeah, you can't do Titus Andronicus, where the main black character there is just like, I'm evil cause fun. I'm just evil. I like being evil. And the blood budget's insane.
Don't think too hard about it.
Yeah, it's Shakespeare's horror play. So the theater was a huge hit in the neighborhood and began to attract attention from white audiences. Now, it is important to note that initially they showed up to boo and heckle, but it kind of got to the point where they're like, this is actually really good.
Yeah, the power of art.
But Brown would segregate the white audiences to the upper levels of his theater because, as he would say, and I'm paraphrasing here, white people aren't used to watching black people perform, so we got to keep them away.
Outside of throwing distance.
So in 1821, Brown built a physical theater for the African Grove at 56 Mercer Street, which was a 20-minute walk from the Park Theater.
Ah,
Yeah, in theater world, not that far, but in this world, it's very close. Because I'm really not sure how close that is by carriage. But now that you have this theater that's popular with both black and white audiences, Stephen Price and the Park Theater are freaked out. Because if white people are going to see their shows, that probably means they're going to start losing money.
and rather than just, I don't know, put on better shows or integrate.
I don't know what you're suggesting or how that's even possible.
Chaos.
Have you seen Catherine Lee Sugg? Have you seen her ankles? They're great. So with this going on, what better time to have a sheriff as your best friend? So on August 1st, 1921, Brown invited his community followers, as well as the entirety of the Manhattan theatrical press, to attend opening night at his physical theater, which meant that Mordecai, who was still the theater critic for the National Advocate, was also invited to come. 2 days later, Noah printed the review of the night's performance, which was actually more of a eugenics screed than anything else. It was actually so racist that what he wrote essentially became the blueprint for minstrel theater.
Stop.
Mordecai Manuel Noah is the grandfather of minstrel theater in blackface.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But there is one silver lining. Mordecai's article was so virulent that audiences flocked to the African Garden to see what all the fuss was about.
Amazing.
And instead of seeing the racist caricatures that he'd written about, people saw well acted and written theater and discovered they actually like this theater.
We're like, wait, maybe I don't hate theater.
Yeah, maybe I just hate Mordecai Noah's shit work. And so in the wake of this, they decided that they were going to do a staged reading of a little-known play called The Fortress of Sorrento by Mordecai Manuel Noah.
Oh, shit. The shade of it all.
And so with all this going on, neighbors started to get really mad at the fact that there was a black theater in their neighborhood that was doing really well. So they started calling the cops on them. And the cops would kind of show up for whatever reason they felt like. And as is tradition with the police, you can't have that. So Mordecai used these calls from the neighborhood as an excuse to raid the theater and eventually just banned indoor performances for them outright. The thing though is if you're going to fuck with a group of people, storefront theater folks are probably your worst target. They have nothing to lose.
Yeah. And now they don't have anything to do either.
Right. I mean, they're creative. They're used to tough times, and they thrive when pettiness is the only weapon available. So I have to go back a little on this. So while they ended up not banning the indoor theater, but they banned the Tea Garden Theater for doing outdoor theater. So using that, they decided to just kind of up the ante. On October 21st, the Park Theater was set to reopen after being burned the fuck down. And to celebrate the occasion, they had gotten acclaimed English actor Junius Brutus Booth, yes, of that Booth family, to come and start a production of Shakespeare's Richard III.
Ooh.
Yeah, Lincoln getting shot is essentially like if Brad Pitt shot him.
Incredible. Or
the Booth family were Shakespearean actors of high regard.
Or Drew Barrymore of the Barrymores.
So the play is one of Shakespeare's longest, and it follows Richard of Gloucester as he gaslights the audience into feeling bad for him due to his physical disabilities, all while he just murders anyone in his way to becoming king. It was set to be a huge deal. So William and the African Grove Company held a competing performance at the African Grove Theater one day before the Park Theater's premiere.
Yes!
Oh, and they invited Mordecai to review it.
So petty, I love it.
As expected, Noah's review was not the nicest. He repeated his talking points about black people in theater, but also went on tangents about crimes and riots, which only led audiences to see the show more.
Yeah.
As company member Ira Aldridge stated, quote, "White audiences went to ridicule, but remained to admire," which is a much better way of saying what Mordecai had tried to say years ago, that his political opponents came to boo and hiss, but they just forgot to by the end of the performance.
Like, no, they probably walked out, Mordecai. They probably just left.
And I should note, Ira Aldridge is the man who played Othello as well. So this resulted in audience attendance going down for the park and respect growing for the African Grove. So now Mordecai would double back and close the physical theater space of the African Grove. But it only led to William Brown becoming an even greater pioneer of American theater. Since they had no home, the company had to keep changing locations for their performances, often without alerting Noah and the police as to where they would be. William Brown would invent both itinerant and guerrilla theater.
This is incredible. And also just like the cool factor of being like, it's invite only.
Right. I mean, this is the cool shit we should have been learning about in like American theater history too, but
yes. How is this not like a Netflix series that gets canceled after one season? This would crush.
Or like a 3-year HBO series.
Yes. Of 8 episodes each season.
Yes, exactly. So in one of the company's ballsier moves, they rented a space next door to the Park Theater. So Mordecai would actively pursue these productions, often arresting people mid-performance. Witnesses noted that the actors would continue their lines while being pulled out of the theater building and into, cop carriages. And when everyone got reunited at the jail, they would finish the play.
Man, like even at the height of like IO's, like you said, guerrilla theater antics, it's like ASCAT could never.
Fucking ass cat. Yeah. Yeah. It's like just imagining like a tiny little fuck you theater going up against the Goodman or Steppenwolf. Or I don't know. Victory Gardens might be a better example.
Yes.
This.
Yeah, totally.
Chicago theater jokes, local work.
Hey.
So by 1823, Brown and the African Grove had gone full protest mode. Because you know what? If they're gonna ban the physical theater space and William still owns it, we'll just do fucking plays there and get arrested. What are you gonna do? Arrest us more? So they went back to the African Grove physical theater space and they performed one of Brown's original plays, the drama A King Showed Away. The play is a historical retelling of an insurrection of formerly enslaved people in the British-occupied island of St. Vincent. It was the very first play, probably, by an African-American, and it's lost to time. There's no copies of it that exist to this day. I would happily trade Mordecai's entire life's work just for an act of the drama of King Showed Away. Following this, William Brown's story kind of goes into the ether, which is, both kind of expected in the tradition in theater history. Like a lot of people who are doing new and innovative stuff get forgotten, while the plays that do really well and are financially successful get to live on forever. And so, yeah, after 1824, William Brown's just kind of gone. And it's debated how the African Grove Theater met its end. Most believe that Mordecai Noah finally succeeded in shutting it down in 1824. Others think it was burned down in an arson attack in 1926, but no one really knows what happened. But hey, we still got Mordecai. He's still there. And while he was busy being a racist and a weirdly focused sheriff, he would also write 2 more plays. So in 1921, I don't know. If the only thing that you're doing is going after black theater in New York City, I guess you have a lot of free time. So in 1821, he would continue his theme of American jingoism with Marion, the hero of Lake George. And sure, I could have read it for $5,000 if I bought a first edition, but you know what? I'm just going to settle for the Goodreads summary. Quote, Revolutionary War Captain Marion faces off against British Army Colonel Conway, all the while trying to win affections of his lover Emma, who has abandoned her British mother, Miss Fitzhenry, and brother, Beverly, to fight for her husband and his cause. Yeah. I can't find any example of a battle of Lake Marion during the Revolutionary War. The only thing I can really find is like just the 7 Years' War, and that's it. And even then, it's not really a big thing. So Once again, he's making up history for the sake of terrible writing. The play was produced for one night only at the Park Theater to a sold-out crowd of veterans. Because, hey, easy money at this point.
Hey, they got a pension.
Yeah, oh my God, they do. As for his other play, that would be Grecian Captive, or The Fall of Athens. a play he wrote entirely because he had a relative that owned a theater, and that relative really needed a surefire hit. And what Mordecai delivered to them would be a sprawling topical play of the time about the Greek Independence War. So, set in the first year of the 9-year Greek War of Independence, it focused on Roberto, an enslaved Grecian and fake fool for the Ottoman Empire, Demetrius Ypsilanti, a Grecian artist, Zelia, a pretty Christian woman Ypsilanti is meant to paint, and Ali Pasha, the Ottoman ruler of Greece, who does a lot of evil shit to force Zelia to marry him, who's going to give up his Muslim faith just for a woman. As for the historical accuracy, an attempt was made. So Ali Pasha of Ionia is a real guy. He was really a dick. He was really fucking brutal and awful. He had a huge harem of both men and women.
Nice. Guy wives.
Yeah. So there's debate as to whether or not he was bisexual or if that was just like, the fashion at the time to have just like hunks walking around.
Either way, I'm here for it.
Yeah. So Zelia was probably Ali Pasha's favorite wife, Kira Vasiliki, and Kira ends up staying loyal to Ali Pasha up until Ali Pasha's execution in 1822, because Ali Pasha made the mistake of, while he was ruling over Greece, to piss off the Sultan. And so when the Greeks are taking him over, the Sultan's just like, fuck it, let it happen. Demetrius Ypsilanti is a real person. He was never an artist at any point in his life. He was raised from a very young age to be an army officer, mostly serving for the Russian Empire, and then eventually becoming a hero in the Greek War for Independence. Demetrius only had a sole lover, best we can tell, not to a woman named Zelia, but to a wealthy Italian badass named Monto Mavroginis. Monto is pretty fucking amazing. Not only was she heavily funding the Greek War of Independence, but she led her own pirate fleet against the Ottoman Empire and earned the title of lieutenant general by the end of the war.
Ooh.
The sad story with that is Demetrius really wanted to marry Monto and she wanted to marry him, but both of their families were so rich that everyone in the Greek War for Independence essentially like, if you two get married, we're going to fight you. Because that's it's like if the Gates and the Buffetts got married.
Be like, too much money in one family. I get it. Yeah.
So they never got married, and it's kind of their tragic story.
Oh.
But what really made the play cool is that Zelia enters on a real life camel. Ali Pasha enters on a real life fucking elephant.
They had a camel and elephant budget?
They got him on loan from the zoo.
Oh man, that is cool.
Yeah, the play constantly sold out because you want to see a fucking camel and an elephant on the goddamn stage. The stage could probably barely fit the elephant. I don't even know how they got that thing backstage. This is probably years before they had those roll-up garage doors.
Yeah, nothing's ADA compliant. Forget that.
No, I highly doubt OSHA was there to be like, hey, this elephant needs to feel comfortable.
Oh, the poor elephants.
But not only was it a great sellout where you get to see a camel and an elephant, if you went to opening night, you got a free copy of the play to read along with.
That's great. It's like how I turn subtitles on all the time now.
Right? I wish it was a real thing. I think that would be so cool if that was still a thing. So this camel and this elephant would pretty much be Noah's high points. Possibly because of his racist theater beef, Tammany Hall didn't feel the need to reappoint Mordecai to sheriff. So in 1823, he no longer had the job, but he did pass the bar. So now he's a lawyer in New York.
Now he's lawyering.
And he still had his newspaper work, and he had the occasional restaging of his, let's call them plays. So no matter what, he's still rich. He's still respected. He just, he isn't the big name that he probably would be if he was sheriff and a playwright and the main theater critic of the city. And more than likely, it just would have stayed this way if it wasn't for something that, once again, he pioneered. Mordecai would become the first ever Zionist. So Zionism generally is the belief that the only way for Jews to avoid persecution and anti-Semitism is to create a sovereign state where Jews will be in the majority. The movement is considered to have its major roots in 1896 and mostly in Europe, and multiple options would be proposed. In 1903, the Brits would propose 5,000 acres in modern-day Kenya, called the Uganda Plan. In 1928, the Soviets would propose the Jewish Autonomous Oblast, which was located in a very swampy and barely habitable part of Siberia.
Ooh, Russia. Ooh.
It's there today. No one likes it, and it's 1% Jewish.
Oh.
I don't know if you knew this. Stalin did not like Jewish people, so...
Yeah,
was not a good deal. And the Nazis even had their own idea during World War II, where they would sail 1 million Jews a year to the island of Madagascar to live in a police state.
Ooh.
Yeah. After the Battle of Britain, which was Germany's first major loss in World War II, it kind of shut down this idea and is the main reason that the final solution started. Which, I mean, to be perfectly frank, the island of Madagascar would have also been a final solution.
Yeah. Wasn't Argentina like proposed at some point? I remember
They
reading
might have
that's
been. I
like,
didn't see them as one of the
yeah,
major
it's like,
ones, but
just go to somewhere in South America.
one of my favorite ones, though, is that during the war, there was also a bit of a proposal brought up by FDR Secretary of the Interior Harold Eccles, where he proposed turning the town of Sitka, Alaska, into a hub of Jewish immigration. Didn't happen, but if you ever read Michael Chabon's The Yiddish Policeman's Union, it takes place in Sitka, Alaska, in a world where Israel fails, and Sitka, Alaska had
Oh,
already existed and is now like a city of 40,000 people that is majority Hebrew,
oh, incredible. Oh,
or like
now I want
everyone
to
there
check it out.
speaks Yiddish and English interchangeably.
Love it.
But as for Mordecai, he's going to outdate all of these proposals. In 1825, his friend Samuel Leggett would purchase a ton of island on the recently available Grand Island, which is located on the Niagara River just north of Buffalo.
Oh, I've been there.
Yeah, it's from what I've heard, it's pretty.
Yeah, it's nice.
The island was relatively remote at the time, full of trees, low on people, or at least, that the American government viewed as people. And for Mordecai, it was the perfect place for Jews to call home.
It's not that big, Mordecai.
Well, Mordecai's going to buy 27 square miles of Leggett's land. And it's mostly just all the land across from the city of Tonawanda. So it's just like right across the river on the northeast end.
Okay.
And he's going to call this the semi-autonomous colony known as Ararat, the refuge for the Jews. Ararat is the mountain where Noah ends up crashing the ark and where the water goes down and where life gets reborn in the Bible.
Oh, okay.
To ensure that this new colony would thrive, everyone would be required to pay 1 gold coin per year. And it's kind of hard to tell which coin he's referring to, especially since dollar gold coins were mostly copper and manganese with no gold in them, so that kind of wouldn't count. At most, I think he means a gold quarter eagle, which would have been about $2.50 back then, or around $75 today. So, yeah.
I mean, not nothing.
Yeah. And all he needed, though, were followers. For months, he would run the same ad nationally in many newspapers as he could, under the title, quote, Revival of the Jewish Government. And this article is fairly basic. Mordecai notes that Grand Island isn't exactly the Ritz, but does have the potential to hold 1 million people. So essentially in modern day's money, a yearly tax income of $7.5 million. It has amazing soil, tall trees. It's a really quick ferry ride over from Tonawanda. And once Canada finishes their proposed road to the island, it's going to become a hub for international business. He would promise a grand parade on September 15th with free cake, beer, cold meats, fruits, and pies. And they're going to shoot a volley of cannons to honor the, quote, 12 tribes of the island. Now, he's not doing this so much because he's real progressive or anything. I will remind you, he still loves himself some slavery.
Yeah, and really not having no cognitive dissonance when he gets to, the play of the Jews in Egypt.
Right. He's doing this mainly because this is around about the time he starts believing in Jewish Indian theory, which is the belief that all indigenous people in America are actually members of the lost tribes of Israel. Hence, all of them are Jews.
Shalom, welcome.
Yeah. This was about 2 or 3 years after Joseph Smith started to really latch onto it for Mormonism, which is how we know it today. Because the angel Moroni is a Native American. And so but he didn't invent it. It was actually invented in the 16th century by Spanish writers and philosophers. So it's not exactly new, but it is kind of this tradition that some people believe that all indigenous Americans are Jewish. And so Mordecai did say that all Native Americans are allowed to return to Grand Island if they lived there before, especially from the Seneca Nation, so long as they practice the rightful Jewish faith.
Come on!
Yep.
Not this again!
Yep. Look, I don't want it to sound familiar. I just want you to be right. Just accept the fact I'm right, Seneca people. As for the parade, Mordecai would apologize in the ad that they had failed to get water transport to Grand Island, so it's gonna start on the outskirts of Tonawanda and then end in the biggest location that they could find in Buffalo, St. Paul's Episcopal Church. You're laughing. I'm wondering why. Like, it is very funny that a parade for a Jewish sovereign state is going to end at a church that's Catholic light.
Like, they couldn't even get would there be a synagogue? I don't even know.
Probably not. I
Yeah.
think that's fair. But Mordecai's expecting a huge crowd for this, and he's got to rent the biggest building in all of Buffalo just for this.
I mean, I'd be there for the free cake. He had me a free
It's
cake.
free beer and cake. What else are you gonna goddamn do? There's no internet. Everyone's got gout. Or all the
The
rich
plays are all
people got gout.
terrible.
and everyone's going to be there. The New York State Militia, which at the time, Mordecai, due to his wealth, had become a major. So he's essentially a major in the National Guard at this point.
Major Domo.
The Freemasons are going to be there.
Hey.
And you bet your ass there's a ceremonial cornerstone. Mordecai bought a chunk of marble from a mine in Cleveland, Ohio, and had it engraved in English and Hebrew so they could place it on the island, but they can't because they didn't get water transport. So he's going to put it on the altar of the Episcopal Church.
It's just going to be there.
It's eventually going to get to the island when we have time, but right now, it's just going to go here, and I'm sure they'll take care of it.
We're working on the water.
Do you mind if we place the stone slab on one of your most holy of items? So the ceremony and parade would end up being a huge success. Thousands of people showed up, mostly Christians, for the free cake and beer. But also just because a lot of semi-famous people and dignitaries showed up, Seneca Chief Red Jacket would show up as well, which probably not the worst idea. It's at least a chance to get your land back in at least some fashion.
Yeah.
So you might as well make an appearance, I guess.
At least, like, sniff it out.
And by the end of it, there'd be a huge proclamation by the Episcopal priests that said, Ararat's its own place. Congratulations. The problem, though, is none of this got anyone's attention who would want to, mainly because by this point, everyone just assumed it was a giant fraud. The main problem is that Mordecai owns all 27 square miles, which means if you're buying land, you're buying it from Mordecai.
And he's setting the price, right?
Yeah, if anyone's getting rich from this, it's a rich man named Mordecai who's just going to keep taking your money the more people who show up.
With that money, writing terrible plays.
And so you already have a lot of American Jews who are just like, this is a batshit bad idea.
Yeah.
But it's mainly because Mordecai took on a title that none of them really liked. So in the same op-ed, he called himself the Judge and President of Israel. And so the Judge of Israel really kind of freaked out and amused a lot of anti-Semites in New York City. And it really just pissed off a lot of American Jews.
Yeah. It's not just the titles. The order of the titles is in itself interesting. Judge and President.
It's not great, especially because the rules are you pay me one golden tax each year, and all of our laws are American laws, but I secretly want this to be its own country. So with this going on, all these American Jews immediately start writing all their friends in Europe who are having a bad time. German Jews in particular are having a very rough time at this point. And it seems like Mordecai's plan was to get the wealthy European or German Jews to give him money for this event. And so everyone starts writing them just being like, do not give this man money. It is a bad idea. Suffering is better because at least then you'll have your money.
Save the gold, hide it. Just don't do this.
And so after this, Noah never sets one foot on Grand Island. It's pretty much the end of everything. He runs his ad a little bit longer, but he gets no interest and no one cares. The town of Ararat never gets built. And in 1833, he'd sell the land to a lumber investor. And today, it's now just the town of Grand Island. The thing, though, is the area where he wanted to build up is still pretty... It's like a golf course. It's a couple homes. It's not anything really at this point. But if you want to go up there, there is currently a virtual reality project where if you download an app for your phone and do a walking tour, you can see all the spots that probably would be operating there right now, including a couple of guesses, such as the Noah's Ark theme park and the Red Jacket Casino.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I'm sure that would have happened, but no. As for the cornerstone, initially the church just tossed it in the backyard and just let it sit there.
That's smart.
Eventually, a friend of Mordecai's would travel to Buffalo and take the stone and placed it on a little memorial on Grand Island.
Aww.
And it stayed there until about 1866, when it was donated to the Buffalo History Museum, where you can still see it to this day.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. Now, this should be the ending of Mordecai Manuel Noah's story. But within a year, he would have everything fixed. In 1826, he would step down as editor of the National Archive with the sole purpose of starting a brand new newspaper, the New York Inquirer. The main shift was that this new newspaper would be 150% pro-Andrew Jackson.
Jesus.
So Jackson had just lost the election of 1824 to John Quincy Adams, but it kicked off a really, really bad populist movement. We'll go over it one day. Let's just say it was not a very good time if you were anyone other than like a white guy. It was an awful experience.
More than usual.
Yeah. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Andrew Jackson loved his wife and the rest of him is terrible. But this ends up saving Mordecai by hitching his wagon to Andrew Jackson. By 1828, Mordecai was elected to the highest position of Tammany Hall. He got nominated for sheriff, but he did lose his only election by 1,400 votes. And after helping Andrew Jackson get elected, he got appointed as surveyor of the Port of New York. And he held that position for about 5 years.
Oh, shit.
And so, yeah, and by 1833, his life goes kind of quiet. He's operating his newspapers, he's writing theater reviews, everything's just kind of calming down, at least until 1840. Mordecai would spend that year writing his last play, Natalie, or The Frontier Maid. And as is tradition, it's mostly lost, and it's nationalistic, but this time there's manifest destiny involved.
Hey!
Pew, pew, pew. But the biggest news is that the following year, the governor of New York made Mordecai a judge of the Court of Sessions.
What?
He's a judge now.
What's the Court of Sessions?
Fuck, I meant to look that up. All right. So the Court of Sessions was a type of court originally established as a colonial court of quarter sessions. He ends up losing a job in 1846 because it gets fully abolished. It had jurisdiction over both civil and criminal matters until 1891 when it's restructured to felony crimes not punishable by death or life in prison.
All right.
So a weird felony court. Yeah, so that's what Mordecai's in charge of. Just any felony where no one died.
Great. He's a judge.
He is a judge for at least 5 years until the court is completely abolished by the New York State legislature. But then he fucked it all up again. In 1841, Andrew Jackson was no longer president. Mordecai flung his vast influence to the Whig Party, specifically President John Tyler. Now, we'll do an episode on John Tyler one day because his entire presidency is just a sad, sad fucking experience. Prior to him becoming president, William Henry Harrison had been president, who most famously died in 30 days.
30 days, yeah.
The problem with John Tyler is no one really knew what to do when the president died. They really hadn't ever had to test secession before. So everyone assumed the vice president would be next, but there was really no precedent to guarantee that. So when John Tyler became president, there was a group of people who thought, hey, that's not fair. So either which way, John Tyler's president, Mordecai loves him, throws his full support behind it. And like I said, some of the Whigs were really pissed off about that, particularly when it came to the topic of reestablishing the national bank. That was one of the many things that Andrew Jackson was against. America used to have its own national bank where you could, put your money at low rates. And Andrew Jackson just didn't like that. He thought it was too Orwellian, I guess, if I can use a modern term for it. It was too big government, doing too much.
Too federal, yeah.
Right. And so he shut that shit down. And Henry Clay of the Whigs really wants to bring it back. So they, House votes on it, Senate votes on it, ends up getting passed up to John Tyler, who decides, since he is an acolyte of Andrew Jackson's, to shut it down. He vetoes it as soon as it gets to his desk. And the Senate doesn't have the 2/3 majority to pass it against his veto. So Henry Clay talks to John Tyler's cabinet and succeeds in getting every single member but one to resign on the same day. The one who doesn't is Daniel Webster. And the only reason he didn't retire and resign is no one tells Daniel Johnson what to do. And I agree with you, but fuck you for even asking me. Or Daniel Webster, whatever.
Yeah, I have a dictionary to write, good sir.
Never Webster, but yes. I'm pretty sure his dictionary would just be swear words, but...
Nice.
But yeah, so the ideal goal that Henry Clay had with this is that John Tyler would be so embarrassed that he would immediately resign and they'd have to have an election. But John Tyler decided, no, I'm just gonna put in new guys. Cool. So the Whigs did the one thing that they were able to do since they had the majority. They kicked John Tyler out of the party.
Yeah, I mean, that's not nothing. That's something.
It's pretty big.
It's an action.
John Tyler would try to become a member of the Democratic Party, which he had been before. But by that point, they were already pretty dead set on making Martin Van Buren their presidential nominee and decided to just tell him no. So at this point, John Tyler now has no presidential party.
Oh.
He's just alone and looking.
Yeah, he's just a man adrift.
When the 1844 convention came around, the Whigs ended up picking Henry Clay. It's a unanimous decision by that point. So the Whigs had completely fucked John Tyler. And sensing a bit of doom, Noah began pushing the president to make an unprecedented move to just start his own third party. It was a bold move. It was pretty much the only one left for Tyler at this point. And Tyler was kind of for this idea to begin with anyway. So on the day of the Democratic Convention in Baltimore, former president and party founder Martin Van Buren, like I said, was expected to win. The problem, though, is the party had a rule that it wasn't majority win. It's 2/3 wins. And this is how the Democratic Party would work until 1936.
Oh, God.
And thanks to former governor of Michigan, Lewis Cass, Van Buren and
Hey.
Cass went about 7 ballots without having any clear winner whatsoever.
Ugh.
So all of Tyler's followers knew this was going to happen. So they rented a hall down the street from the Democrats in Baltimore and immediately endorsed John Tyler for the National Democratic Party, with the expectation that Van Buren and Cass were going to fight each other so much that the Democrats will just get tired and endorse John Tyler, the incumbent president. What Tyler didn't expect is on the 8th ballot, Speaker of the House James K. Polk would suddenly get nominated. Andrew Jackson would support this idea, and James K. Polk ends up winning.
Whew.
I would like to note, too, that with James K. Polk winning, most people were like, who the fuck is this guy? And
Who cares? Back him.
Yeah, and the main thing that they had throughout their campaign for him was like, okay, it doesn't matter, you don't know who this guy is. We're gonna compare him to William Henry Harrison, and that's all you fucking need.
Just get on board.
So let's put the National Democrats into a bit of a bind, mainly because their party platform did not exist. They were entirely running just to be a compromise candidate and elect John Tyler. So by early August, Tyler met with the Democrats and started negotiating with them to keep Henry Clay from winning. He didn't have a ton of leverage, but after a couple of weeks, Andrew Jackson himself delivered the final deal. Polk would annex Texas as a slave state. Tyler would drop out and fold the National Democratic Party, and Henry Clay would be guaranteed to lose, which is exactly what happened. Tyler dropped out, Polk won, and then he immediately started the Mexican-American War to take Texas.
Oh, the annals of history.
It's America's always been a really good country. So this spelled the end of Noah's influence. He still had a couple of newspapers, but most write-ups about him are pretty much just newspaper ads for back braces and dentures and a short-lived one for German bitters. By this point, even rival newspapers, such as the most subscribed newspaper in the nation, the New York Daily Herald, who was one of the most anti-Semitic newspapers I've ever read in my goddamn life.
Yikes.
It's they were anti-Semitic, anti-Catholic. They were just a frightening fucking newspaper. Even by this point, they're done talking about Noah. He just doesn't show up in their articles whatsoever. There is a brief op-ed written by Mordecai about his opinions on how to find a good woman. And Una, I'm so sorry, quote,
No.
Yep, you need to know how to find a good woman. It's important. And it's also just like you need to hate Mordecai more. So interrupt whenever. We're almost done, so just interrupt whenever. Good temper is the chief of female virtues. A good temper hides many defects of the outside and sets off a homely countenance to better advantage than rough and alcoholic cosmetics. How many ornery little females have we seen with halos of attraction by a winning, a placid, calm, obliging, smooth temperament? How many? A beautiful vixen is like a well-fought battle, good to view at a distance, but very disagreeable to approach directly.
Oh my God, he has been burned by so many actresses. That's what this is saying.
A petulant, saucy, fault-finding, capricious beauty is an awful picture to contemplate. Phrenology is a pretty fair science, and should we take another wife, which is not at all likely, we shall examine her head, as sure as we are human.
Yes, phrenology.
Let me touch your scalp so I know that you will be a good wife.
This is egg-shaped,
Yes.
meaning lack of intelligence.
But that's not where his focus lies. Continued quote, and her eye. Those are the windows through which one may look into the backyard of her mind, where her propensities, her likings, and her temperament are stored away for preservation. A black-eyed girl is auspicious. A great deal of fire lurks behind those gypsy orbs, generally enough to... Oh, you have a problem with that phrase?
Eyes?
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's going to keep going. The man's an eye freak. Generally enough to consume one's happiness to ashes, which are sprinkled plentifully over the sackcloth we must necessarily wear after the conflagration. Blue are very pretty for waxen dull, but full-grown ladies are better without them. If large and deep, they make a tolerable impression, and generally accompany an even and well-ordered mind. But light and shaded like a china plate, they betoken a frivolous and weak heart, and are expressionless as muffins.
Oh my God, I feel like I'm listening to an old-timey Patrick Bateman from American Psycho. Like, I can't take this
I just
anymore.
want to know why he's comparing eyes to muffins. That's not. How have you gotten produced? How have,
No.
how have people seen your work and been like, yeah, this is okay. This is
Yeah, the
fine.
sack-like sheath of the head covering, and then the eyes, two little muffins staring out.
The lady owners of such optics had better be left to bestow their undivided affections upon their lapdogs. A hazel eye inspires at first a platonic sentiment, which gradually but surely expands and emerges into a love of securely founded as the Rock of Gibraltar. A woman with a hazel eye never elopes from her husband, never chats scandal, never sacrifices her husband's comfort for her own, never fault finds, never talks too much or too little, always is entertaining, intellectual, and agreeable, and a lovely creature. We have never knew but one uninteresting and unamiable woman with a hazel eye. Incomparable orbs.
So the one who got away had hazel eyes. That's
Yeah.
what I'm taking away from
I
this.
really, really hope his wife has hazel eyes. Otherwise, is a divorce pamphlet.
Yeah.
That is, your head's wrong and your eyes don't look the way I want them to. So yeah, that's how you find a good woman. You touch her hair, you look really good in her eyes, and she
Christ.
better not have too much makeup.
Yeah,
All these whores with weird makeup and blue eyes.
or at least just like be nice. You're gonna be
In the
some
1800s,
alcoholic.
come on. No one's being nice to Mordecai. He's busy being nice to others.
He isn't nice.
No, he's a terrible person. Mordecai Manuel Noah, I hope you know by now, is a terrible person despite being the creator of Jewish theater and minstrel theater.
Oh my God.
So, we finally get to the fun part. In January of 1851, Mordecai would suffer a debilitating stroke. He would be debilitated until March, when he finally died at the age of 66.
Oh, R.I.P. Mordecai.
His obituaries were short, or if they were his rivals in newspapers, flat out non-existent.
Oh, damn. Wow, that is cold.
And that's the story of Mordecai Manuel Noah, the inventor of a political party, sort of. Not really, no. I don't know. Let's
I
skip
mean,
that.
kind of a little bit Zionism, you know?
I mean, yeah. He essentially pushed forward Zionism. He invented American theater. He was, the archetype for all sheriffs.
Yeah,
He just had terrible, terrible bitterness and just an awful person.
incredible.
Yeah.
What a name.
Yeah.
Not enough people are named Mordecai anymore.
Yeah. I did see one newspaper that referred to him as Mordecai Manasseh Noah, which I think was just an attempt to get away from his Iberian roots or to ignore that fact. He often went by M.M. Noah in his plays.
Sure.
But yeah, he's a piece of shit. He's just a terrible man. I don't know what to say. I mean, we're back to talking about pieces of shit.
Hey, we're back.
Hey, to kick off season 4. Here's your piece of shit. Yeah. I mean, it's a good tradition. If we're talking about Jimmy McMillan, then we need to talk about Mordecai Manuel Noah and just balance it out.
It's important to know that America has always been America.
We've always had shitheads. And, well, we're glad to be back. And hopefully we don't have to take more time due to all these scleroses and all that stuff. But we'll give you a heads up if that happens. And I don't know. We might have episodes in the hopper by then, so we'll see. But any final thoughts other than this guy's a piece of shit?
Oh my God. No, I want the miniseries of the
African Grove Theater.
Yeah, the African Grove Theater and their shenanigans
God.
against a racist Noah.
Oh my God. I wouldn't even know who to cast for William Brown. I mean, there are so many people who'd be amazing as him. Or Ira Aldridge. So many fucking people would just be able to nail those roles.
Totally. So Netflix, if you're listening.
Oh my God, not Netflix. Literally anyone but Netflix.
Okay, fine. Hulu. I don't care.
Talking as if I have TV deals just falling out of me.
Give me that WGA card.
Medical insurance would be really nice right about now. Anyway, y'all, welcome back, and we'll see you next time on Gadfly.
Gadfly is a production of Added Serotonin. Our episodes are edited by Brianna Valentine of Rem Alternus Productions. Our theme song is Sophomore Makeout by Silent Partner, and you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at GadflyPod.
Ready to level up your cosplay game? Check out the Geek Forge on Etsy. With a variety of props to give your photos that extra spark, you'll find just what you need. Hold magical fire in the palm of your hand, or take a potion to restore your mana. With a large variety of colors, you can choose your own magical flavor for your cosplay. Bring drama to your photo shoots with these vibrant props and more, all available at the Geek Forge. Are you ready to level up your cosplay?